much I can do. I'm gonna be this way my life through. Cause I still believe in miracles, I swear I've seen a few. And the time will surely come when you can see my point of view. I believe in second chances, and that's why I believe in
Hello there, everybody, and welcome to another episode or weekly thing of Up Download, the weekly news show. I almost did go into the games parlay bit.
That was the last time we did that bit.
Yeah. But how's it going, Matt?
It's going well, Billy. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. It's start of a new week. I'm almost done with my day job for the school year, so I'm doing even better.
That's awesome. I'm a little behind you. I've got 3 weeks left. We're getting there.
Yeah. Elena, thank you for already pointing out the slime on my microphone. We'll see how long he lasts up there.
He's very cute.
I need to find a way to like anchor him and just make it a permanent part of my setup.
Mm-hmm.
But
Duct tape.
Yeah, yes, duct tape, of course. Well, we've got a lot to talk about today. This week was kind of insane, in both good and bad. But we want to first start off by saying Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there.
Happy Mother's Day!
You know, to our mothers and everyone's mothers and pet mothers, everybody. It's Mother's Day, so it's awesome. So thank you, mothers out there, for dealing with all the gamers in your lives. Release Mother 3 on Mother's Day. God, wouldn't that be amazing?
That's hilarious.
I would love that so much. But speaking of, today is also the 1 year anniversary of Tears of the Kingdom,
Woohoo!
which is crazy.
It's very crazy. It does not feel like a year ago that I was playing that.
No. Well, and it's also crazy because last year was my last day of the school year. I got up at like 4:30 in the morning to make sure I could get to Walmart early to pick up a copy of the game so that I had it to play as soon as
That's
I got
so
home
funny.
from my last school day.
That's a good idea. What I did was I ordered it for pickup from Target, like right when I got up in the morning,
Mm-hmm.
and then it was ready for me to pick up at the end of the school day, and I just went that way.
That's pretty
That
good.
worked out pretty well. My Switch was also in the shop at the same time, so I got really lucky that it was being repaired and it got done like the day I needed it,
Yeah.
which was cool.
Yeah. So, a kind of a wacky anniversary of a game that, you know, we've waited a while for. But we have all kinds of stuff to talk about today, and we're actually going to start with a related topic, and that is we have an announcement for the Switch 2 announcement.
It's like a teaser trailer, but for an announcement.
It's so Nintendo. It's so Nintendo. I'm gonna pull up the tweet because it makes me laugh.
We will someday be announcing the successor to the Switch, but not yet. But we will be announcing it someday.
Yeah, it's like, just hold on. We know you want more. We don't have anything for you, but it's just so funny. I can't find the tweet offhand, but it just kills me because it's basically like, hey, this is President Furukawa. There's no, just so you know, We will tell you about the Switch 2 this fiscal year. They say Switch successor specifically.
Right.
But we all know at this point, based on everything, that it's likely another hybrid console.
Right, there's been a lot of supposed hardware leaks and speculations and stuff, and from what it sounds like, it's gonna be a pretty awesome system. I've seen like the Joy-Cons will be magnetic as opposed to sliding on and off the system, which sounds like a really cool thing. And it's supposed to be like really powerful, like somewhere like around a PS4 Pro is what I'd seen, which sounds pretty awesome.
Yeah. I actually just watched a video recently. Big shout outs to Good Vibes Gaming. It's where I get a lot of my information that I don't see on Twitter because they're pretty on it. So shout outs to them. But they had a whole discussion where there was I think it was like some like shipping order or something, or some trademark order, something that like listed out basically the hardware specs of what we can assume is the new console.
Right.
And so they were going through all of it. It's like a 256 gig internal storage, which is for a Nintendo console. That's
Pretty big.
pretty big compared to what we got. I believe I heard them say the original Switch was like 16 gig or 32 gig,
I was gonna say I think it was 32.
and then the OLED was 64.
Ooh, big jump.
Yeah, so they're beefing up the internal storage. They have the tensor coil things that basically make it so that it can run DLSS, which is some fancy AI upscaling software that can produce up to 4K imaging.
Very cool.
Whether or not the Switch 2 will actually reach 4K, or whether they will make games for 4K, I doubt it. Third parties might try it. I
Mhm.
imagine what we're looking at is 720p models upscaled to 1080p, but without.
I hope that's not all.
I hope it's not all either, but I would take it. There's some speculation that putting it docked will let it run at better power. We don't know any of that, of course. I think it was 12 gig of RAM in the console.
That sounds right.
I think it's 4 gig of RAM in the current Switch, and 1 gig is used for the operating system.
That's crazy.
Is what I think they mentioned. So there's a lot of really cool speculation out there on the next console.
Based off of what the current Switch can do, it sounds like they can make a lot out of this like beefier hardware, because the current Switch already like is pretty impressive for the little thing that it is, you know? So I feel like if they're able to get especially a team like Monolith Soft on some of this stuff, like it's gonna be pretty crazy.
Yeah. I'm really interested. Two, there's been a lot of talk, like, there's a lot of things that the Switch lacked. As much as we love the Switch, I mean, I'm so glad about mine. It's probably the most hours I've poured into a console since probably the 3DS or my old Game Boy. But there's a lot of things that lacked. No themes, no in-game, no in-console voice chat or messaging, no message boards. It seems like a lot of the old Nintendo gimmicks were just kind of left by the wayside.
Right.
Xeon from Nintendo Life is doing this whole thing on Street Pass, and like that was such a cool thing.
I cannot wait for that video. It's gonna be so
Yeah,
cool.
it's gonna be great. I'm so stoked for it. But like the Switch doesn't have anything like that. It has no communication features. It has, at most, you get a little blurb that says, "Hey, your friend's playing this game."
Right.
And with the bare bones OS, and it's so slow. So I'm hopeful that the next console kind of brings some of those gimmicks back. I hope the upgrade in RAM and power put some of those little Nintendo flares on the console, and of course the the games themselves will probably be really, really cool.
Cannot wait.
I think I misspoke earlier. I think the tensor coils are for ray tracing capability.
That'd be cool too.
I think that's what I remember. Someone might have to fact check me on that. But there was a brief discussion on that video I watched where they were talking about the possibility of ray tracing, which is just a fancy lighting effect. We really need like
Mhm.
Sterling in here, or somebody who's more knowledgeable on that than I am. All I know is some really fancy, good-looking lighting that a lot of AAA titles are utilizing right now. And
I know a lot of that has to do with like reflections of light.
Yeah.
So, like for example, the one I know the most is from Spider-Man 2 for the PS5. So like, it's that you can see like the reflections of your character and stuff like in puddles and on windows and stuff like that. So it allows it to be a little bit more immersive because you can see the lighting reflect off of reflective stuff as opposed to just having a shiny thing
yeah,
to make it look like it's reflective.
right.
So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and there was talk on there that one of the reasons the Switch has more RAM in it at all, like the Switch One has more RAM in it at all, was because Capcom basically said that if you don't have this, you don't get Monster Hunter.
Oh, nice.
And so the speculation is that Nintendo is going to have to listen to some of their third party support on what they need their consoles to be, to expand the capabilities of the Switch 2 for their third party titles.
Makes sense because I remember a rumor a while ago of Final Fantasy VII Remake potentially being a pretty early title. If that were the case, they would need to be at least PS4 level, if not, more capable.
Yeah. And there was something else they mentioned too that like so Nintendo has like a 10-year partnership with Nvidia.
Ooh.
And half of that was used in the Switch One's lifespan.
Oh gosh.
But the thought being there that, the Switch One was so successful, I'm sure Nvidia made a bajillion dollars on the Switch alone.
Right.
That Nvidia might be more willing to do some premium custom work for another console. So I'm particularly stoked. My guess, from what I have heard other people say, is my guess is October. We get the official announcement, and then we see the console itself next spring.
That seems about right to me.
So
I would like it to be this holiday season. That'd be really cool, but
it would be cool. I don't.
doesn't
see
seem
it.
like it's going to be the thing.
No.
Yeah.
I think they want one more push with the original Switch, or at least to put out some titles.
Right, because we've also got the Direct in June.
Right.
But they also announced it at the same time.
Yes. Yeah, I think they'll use this holiday to push out their last remaining dedicated Switch One titles. Maybe put a deal on the Switch One this holiday season. Cut some prices.
A sale, Nintendo?
Yeah, right?
Could never.
But maybe they will for this one holiday season. And then next spring release the next console. Because there was quite a discussion that I think is interesting of if you tell people about it in October through the holiday season, as everybody gets money for Christmas and whatever else, and in March for at least the United States tax season, most people that might be expecting refunds, that's a good way to spend a tax refund.
That's true.
So I think that might be their strategy, but we'll just kind of have to see. It is Nintendo after all.
Who knows with them?
So,
I'm really hoping this extended delay between what people kind of expected the system to come out during, they're using to really get a lot of hardware made so that it's easy to get a console when it eventually does come out. Because I don't know about you, but I don't want to be going to GameStop or whatever at midnight to get this thing.
No, yeah. Well, and if you look at the last couple console releases, just in general, basically since 2020, it's been a disaster. The
PS5 was impossible to get. That was so hard.
Yeah, which is ridiculous. So hopefully there are things in place to still get them the units sold that they want, but not enabling scalpers to get a hold of things. So, or at least try their best to make it harder for them. Put selling limits in place, so people can't just go nuts. But we'll see. But regardless, I'm excited. I love my Switch. I've always been like, it would be nice if this thing was a little stronger. But
Mhm.
but Nintendo does such a decent job overall of optimizing those games. Um,
Right.
but I'm hopeful that the Switch 2. It sounds like backwards compatibility is for sure a thing.
That would
Um,
be great.
Basically they just want to move their entire Switch user base over to the next console.
It makes me wonder, like for online games, if you'll be able to play with people that have a Switch One. I would imagine
I would
so,
imagine so because I know it's been absolutely confirmed that the Nintendo accounts will transfer. So
which
it's the
is
same
awesome.
account. So I imagine it's the same server.
Hmm.
Um, it'll just be that one game will load faster than the other.
Hmm.
So, I'm also hoping that there's like a backwards performance upgrade, like a
That'd be
performance
great.
patch for a lot of games. Like I'm thinking about, I mean, like Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom are pretty easy ones to pick at. Um, you could do the Water Temple in Tears of the Kingdom without it being 15 frames a second.
That'd be cool.
Or play a good chunk of Breath of the Wild in at least 30 FPS.
Right. Like going to Korok Forest, having it dip
Yeah.
down to like.
Specifically the Korok Forest. Um, which I will be interested in from a speedrunner standpoint. I will be curious how any of those runs might change if there is a
Right.
performance patch for the new console.
That's a good point.
Because for those that don't know, there's a lot of tricks in Breath of the Wild in particular that only work because the game runs at 30 frames per second.
Right.
I
And then like load times and stuff too.
Yeah.
Those could be impacted.
Yeah, the likely they'll just be on different console leaderboards, but
Mhm.
more people might run Tears of the Kingdom in a 60 FPS world if that is what it's capable of doing.
If we can skip the opening cutscene.
We can skip the opening cutscene. So yeah, Switch 2. I'm stoked. I'm ready to kind of get some new information on it.
Me too.
I am glad. Here's a kind of an interesting question. There's a lot of people who have been like, "Oh, Nintendo should have released a new console forever ago." The Switch has been around 7, almost 8 years.
Mhm.
But like, I've never been like, I need a new console. The bump
I
in
haven't really
power
felt that
would
way
be
either.
nice, but like, I like that I'm not spending or feeling like I should spend $400 every 3-4 years for a new console.
Right.
Like I definitely got my money's worth out of the first Switch.
Well, for sure. Our model is one of the original ones because we got it like the holiday season after it came out.
Yeah.
So ours is a grandpa Switch.
Yeah.
It's so old.
I got mine like a year later, I think, or like a few months after. Whenever Octopath Traveler came out, that was the game I bought it for.
That's crazy.
There were other games, but Octopath was like the one that I was like, that put me over the edge.
Yeah.
And I had money at the time. That was a big decision maker too. I was broke when the first Switch came out.
I will say that I will play pretty much any multi-platform game on my PlayStation as opposed to the Switch.
Yeah.
So there is that.
Yeah. Like currently.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And that's one of the things that like has been interesting in the discussion overall of like, when there are two games or one game and they come out on multiple systems, like what are you probably going to play it on? And my instinct is I always want it on the Switch, but
Mhm.
I'm afraid of performance issues.
Mhm.
Like I would love, like right now, I would love Persona 3 Reload on Switch.
I completely agree.
I
I like playing it on my PS5, and the Backbone works okay.
Yeah.
But I would prefer for sure to play it on the Switch.
long RPGs in particular, I really enjoy on my Switch because I can just take it around, grind levels, pause,
Mhm.
and then come back, whatever, or just sit like a degenerate in my chair and play.
Makes me wish I had gotten Persona 5 on the Switch.
Yeah, and I loved it on Switch when I played it on there. But I know that Persona 3 Reload has enough stuff in it that I think the Switch one would not handle it. Even though it's a similar engine to Persona 5, there's just enough of the model textures that would not look nearly as good. And
Yeah, it
probably
definitely looks a little bit more high fidelity in spots.
Yeah. So anyway, Switch 2, we will hear about it sometime between now and March. So to also kind of touch on, so in June we do have a Nintendo Direct.
Yep.
that they have specifically said will not feature Switch 2 news, but will be games releasing in the latter half of this year. And the interesting
Yep.
thing is, we don't know anything that's releasing this year, really.
Nothing. I think our furthest out is the Luigi's Mansion 2 remake,
hmm
and that's in like June or July, something like that.
But anything past that direct, we really don't know anything. We just got the ESRB leaked the Nintendo World Championships game. We
Mhm.
just got a trailer and release date for that, and it looks fine.
What is that? I haven't looked into it at all.
It's like NES Remix, which was a Wii U game.
I don't know what that is either.
Basically, they take a bunch of the like NES games, like popular NES games, and then they have like bite-sized challenges for them, and it's kind of like a speedrunner game.
Okay.
But like it's like, or almost like a WarioWare with NES games.
Interesting way to describe it.
So it's-
okay.
yeah,
When
it's-
you say WarioWare, I'm now more intrigued.
It's basically like it's Mario, and it's like stomp on a Goomba, and like that's the whole challenge. It starts you off, and your goal is to as quickly as possible stomp on a Goomba, or
Okay.
collect 10 coins in this level. And so it's a bunch of stuff like that. And the new,
Interesting.
and it's based on the idea, at least this new one. So Nintendo has had world championships in the past. In 1990, I believe, was the first one, and then 2017, and then 2019. They had like basically like an actual world championship game, and then people could participate in them, and they would get a cartridge that had like these remixed challenges in them, which was kind of cool. And that's
That's
what
interesting.
the replica NES cartridge that comes with the deluxe edition is kind of based on. It's fine. It's a I think it'll be something for somebody, but it's not really for me
I would agree.
necessarily. The multiplayer aspect is cool, but I don't foresee, for like me and my group of friends, I could see us playing it maybe once or twice, but that'd be about it. So we got that, and then Paper Mario comes out this month. The remake comes out this month.
That's right. Looks cool.
And that I'm excited about that. More people need to play Thousand Year Door. It's an excellent game.
I'll get to it someday. I have a lot on my plate right now.
Yeah, fair and valid. And then, yeah, like you said, Luigi's Mansion 2. So we don't have a whole lot going into the latter half of this year to kind of finish out the Switch's lifespan. Actually, the most we know about is next January. Should be the next Pokemon Legends game. I think it was.
Oh, that's right.
So they said early 2025. I don't remember if they said January or if I filled that in myself, but
Interesting. That sounds like a potential launch title for the next system.
yeah, could be.
It could be one of those weird cross-platform ones too.
Yeah,
Like
Pokemon's weird.
that's right. Yeah, they are weird.
Like they have a history of I didn't actually realize it. That Sun and Moon or Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon came out on the 3DS after the Switch had launched.
I was just about to say the same thing. Yeah, I remember seeing that a while ago.
So, and I think X and Y. No, Black and White 2. I think were the same way. That they came out after the 3DS launched or something weird.
That sounds right
Like,
too.
right before. So it's tough to say if Nintendo is telling them to wait. I would like them to wait and make it a Switch 2 title, just because of Pokemon being Pokemon.
Right.
I think if they're reusing the engine from Legends Arceus but having more power from the Switch 2, I think that's like the ultimate scenario for them.
That'd be really cool.
And then probably Gen 10 in like another 2-3 years.
You think that long?
I think 2. I don't know.
How long was it between Sword and Shield and Scarlet Violet?
3 years. It's typically a 3-year rotation. Typically. But Pokemon, I think, has kind of realized that they need to slow down.
Oh, I'd like that.
But their competitive sequencing says otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
We already have restricted Pokemon in the format. We're having the World Championships this year as a one restricted format. It won't be long before that we get in a double restricted format, which will probably be the next Worlds. And then we'll get a silly, goofy, mythical Pokemon format that won't be for any tournaments. um, going up into the next generation's launch is the typical cycle from what we've seen in the past. But I don't know. They might let Pokemon Legends Pokemon come in, and then that'll extend the Scarlet and Violet format.
Yeah.
But I don't know. We'll have to kind of see. So anyway, I would like that to be switched too, but we have like nothing in between there. The couple games that we knew about that were supposed to be Switch titles. I'm gonna say it again: Dragon Quest III HD 2D. We have not heard anything on that since 2021.
It's your white whale.
It is. It's just baffling to me that that game isn't done. So yeah, and I was thinking about it. Remember, we watched the Dragon Quest presentation on a Games
remember.
Parlay stream, and I'm pretty sure that was 2021. That was their 35th anniversary stream. This year will be their 38th. I'm hoping we see something on the 27th for Dragon Quest Day.
Hi, Yuna.
But yeah, Yuna's here to also recount the news. She heard Dragon Quest and wanted to come say hi.
Makes sense.
So Dragon Quest III HD 2D is obviously one for me. We have also not heard anything on Dragon Quest 12, though we didn't really know that that would be anything on the Switch.
Right.
So I don't know about those. Level 5 had a game called Deca Police that was delayed into this year that we haven't heard anything on yet. Silk Song.
I've given up on that one.
Yeah. But I don't know. The next Monster Hunter game isn't until 25. Monster Hunter Wilds.
That sounds right.
I think when they announced that, they said that was 25. So like, there's a lot. There's not a lot that we know of. Oh, Prime 4.
Oh yeah.
You know that one too. So
Who knows?
I don't know. How many of those games are getting delayed until the Switch 2? I don't know why you would have to delay Dragon Quest 3. It's an NES game, for crying out loud.
They must have like announced that like the day after the boardroom approved it.
Maybe. Oh, surprise slot. No, they have a whole trailer that shows like a bunch of the areas like
That's
done
right.
and the
I
lighting's
remember
good.
that now.
Like I don't know what they're waiting on unless they did just those areas for the trailer. Elena says the
knows?
long-awaited next installment in the Nintendo series. I could see it.
There's rumors that there's a microphone in the controllers for the next Switch.
That's true. So, you can yell commands at your dog from your controller, which won't confuse your real-life dog at all.
Not at all. Ours doesn't listen to us anyway, so it's
That's
fine.
fair. Don't
He
do
won't
that.
do
Don't
it.
give me hope. Yeah, I'm sorry. So, yeah, there's a lot. There's a good amount that we know of that should have been released this generation. But there's just not a lot of others. We haven't had a 3D Mario since Bowser's Fury. We haven't had a full 3D Mario game since Odyssey.
Right.
Which is kind of nuts.
That was what, fall 2017?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Epic Mickey coming, but I don't think it has a date yet. Oh yeah, forgot about that one.
Oh yeah. That'll be cool.
Yeah. But yeah, 3D Mario. We have no idea where that's at. I'm surprised we didn't get like a new 2D Zelda game, other than the Link's Awakening remake. The last 2D Zelda game we got was Link Between Worlds on the 3DS.
It was crazy.
What else have we missed? I'm still shocked Kid Icarus didn't get another game on the Switch. The gyro controls on the thing would have been awesome. There was no Star Fox, no F-Zero.
F-Zero 99.
Oh, that's true. We did
Does
get
that count?
F-Zero 99. I get kinda. I'll count it. So,
Star Fox, we got Starlink, and there was the Star Fox ship in that game.
forgot that game existed. So that's on me.
And you can like build the ship and put it on your controller. It's pretty cool. I
Yeah.
don't have it, but
Yeah.
it seems fun.
Yeah, it seems neat.
I little toy things are neat.
I agree. Yeah, I don't know. So we didn't actually get a new Mario Kart.
That's true.
We got the DLC tracks, which is a game in itself, if we're being fair.
Yeah, it's the exact number of tracks. It doubled the track count.
Yeah. Animal Crossing died very early.
Rip.
So there's a lot of missing titles. So I'm hopeful that they've been pushed to the next hardware. So we'll have to see. Elena says, I'm very salty about Mario Kart. I'm not as salty. I think the new tracks are good and make up for it. But I get it.
Since we didn't have a Wii U, like for me, it is a brand new game, so
Yeah.
I'll take it.
And no support for Animal Crossing New Horizons. Very rude. I agree. I think about that a lot. That there's just so much missing, and I don't know. I think we, the consumers, really kind of killed the dev cycle on that game. With COVID. They had that summer update with swimming, and that was kind of it. Yes, they had the DLC, they had the swimming update, and then they had the Mario crossover for Mario Day.
Well, they had like the whole home designer island
Yeah.
stuff.
That was part of that DLC,
Right.
the Happy
And-
Home Designer, which was cool.
That's what it's called. Yeah.
But I imagine they just kind of realized they couldn't keep up with the player base.
It's true.
Um,
Too ravenous.
I mean, honestly, the way people played that game was not how you're supposed to play an Animal Crossing game, and we all did it. It wasn't like a few of us; we all did it. So I don't know. There's a lot of potential that could come out of this next direct to kind of tide people over. You know, people are expecting a lot of smaller titles. Stuff like the NES World Champions stuff. Maybe another remake somewhere of something.
Zelda remake.
What would you want a Zelda remake of?
Yes.
I mean, okay.
I would like Wind Waker at least, and then Twilight Princess.
Do you think
not
they-
remake? I mean HD, like just what they had in the Wii U. Put it on the Switch.
Do you think they would do that now, or do you think they would wait until the next console? Because we're gonna be a few years out from another mainline Zelda game.
Yes, we are.
So, do you think they would do that now to kind of kill time in between this console and the next console's launch, or wait at this point and then just put it on the next console?
They have had a Zelda release every year for years now. So they need to put something out this year. I feel like Twilight Princess and or Wind Waker HD release makes sense.
I mean, I think it makes sense too. It's honestly just kind of baffling they haven't done it yet.
Mhm.
But I don't know. I'm not super sure. If I saw it in the June Direct, I would be ecstatic.
I would too.
But honestly, I still think the Wii U version is the best way to play it. I think the gamepad is so useful in those two games in particular.
Mhm.
But I know people want it on Switch really badly, and I don't blame them.
I don't have a Wii U, and I don't want to buy one.
Yeah, I don't blame you. So, yeah, I could see that. There's also the possibility of Retro Studios remade Metroid Prime 1. I think it's fair to assume that 2 and 3 are also going to be in that list.
That makes sense to me too.
So I could see us getting those to kind of fill the gaps so that people can play them before 4 maybe comes out on the new console.
That's the way that have to make sense, because if they're doing things that are coming in the back half of this year, there's not enough time to do those and then also Prime 4 on the Switch. So yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, if they could do 2 and 3, and then I could see 4 being a near launch title, because I almost guarantee you at this point, Prime 4 is going to be what shows off what the next console can do.
That makes sense. But it's not like popular enough, I don't think, to be a launch title. Metroid games don't traditionally sell that well in comparison
No,
to like
but-
your Zeldas and your Marios.
But I think, I mean, I agree with you. but I think Prime 4 has the potential at this point to look like a first-person shooter adventure game with ray tracing and potentially upscaled to 4K graphics. I think it has a real contender to gather in a new audience.
I completely agree.
At it before.
I agree.
So
I just don't think that traditionally, though, that series sells like a Mario type game does. And I think,
yeah,
like, technically, it would, on like a technical level, be super impressive and crazy. But is that enough to get people to buy it, you know?
I think so.
You think so?
I think specifically with Nintendo, because here's the thing that I'm thinking of: people like us, that like play games. We are gamers.
Yes.
We would already, yeah. Most of us that are gamers, TM, are already kind of invested in Metroid Prime 4. For most people, I think one of the reasons they haven't played Prime games is because, one, we haven't had one in God knows how long. But it doesn't play like a first-person shooter at all. It's a puzzle game. But
Right.
I think most people shy away from Nintendo games because of how they look. Normal people stay away from Nintendo because of how they look and performance. I think you get a sci-fi action adventure game that plays like that with a really compelling introduction and high quality 4K graphics on a handheld. I think even a normal person would have a lot of vested interest in a game that looks like that.
That makes a lot of sense. But then if you stick a number 4 at the end of it in the title, then like I think part of why Breath of the Wild took off so much was because you didn't have to have any previous knowledge to play it.
Yeah.
Like I've never played a Metroid Prime game, and I feel like I would have to catch up to play 4.
Yeah.
And I think that would deter people.
Maybe. I don't know enough about Prime to be able to tell you if that's true or not. But like with the 2D games, it's not necessary whatsoever. It's just a new setting.
Right.
So we'll have to see. But I do think it's one that the Nintendo fanboys are clamoring for. That would be enough to push at least those people into a new console. You bundle that with a new Mario game, that's definitely going to be a launch title. There's no way they don't have a 3D Mario game ready for that.
One would assume.
But yeah, otherwise, I don't know. I don't know what else we could see. I think this June Direct might be a little stale.
I don't think it'll be crazy. It'll be like the last whimper of the Switch, which is totally fine.
Yeah.
Like it's been out for so long.
That's what we expect.
We're ready for the next thing.
Yeah. So, yeah. So we'll go on from there.
Yeah.
This week, we are still talking about things this week that happened. This week showed a lot of indie games. A lot of indie games dropped on the same day.
Super cool.
To come out, and a lot of them have been coming up to crazy successes. We've had Animal Well. It's kind of like the big one that came out this week.
I'd say so.
That people seem to be clamoring for the most. Is Animal Well. And I haven't bought this game, but you said that you were talking before we started recording that you have it and have been playing it.
Yes, I got it on Friday, I believe. I think it came out on Thursday, and I didn't get to it until Friday. It's really cool. It's like a Metroidvania type thing, but there's no combat, so it's all puzzle based, which is very interesting. I really like. It's like a weird, kind of sad, mystical vibe.
Mm-hmm.
I think I have a type. I love Hollow Knight, so I like the sad, weird Metroidvanias, I suppose.
Yeah, and playing as a little guy.
Playing as a little guy. You're right. I do like little guys, so I guess I have a type. I like it a lot. It is very like surprising in a lot of ways. Like right before, I haven't played it yet today, but I was playing last night before Elena and I went out to dinner. And like the weirdest thing happened, and I like would not leave the house until I showed her what just happened in the game because it was so cool.
Yeah.
You have like tools that you collect as you go. So you have like different items that will affect the world in different ways. So I don't think the spoiler. One of the things you get is a bubble blower, which is a lot of fun. So you can like blow up a little bubble and like hop on top of it and get up to stuff you wouldn't be able to jump up to. And so I did something really cool with the bubble blower last night that I was excited about.
Yeah, that's very cool.
I've got 2 of the tools that you find so far, and I think there are 4, if I recall, that you can like pick up and use. Yeah,
That's
it's really cool.
I've seen some like some early gameplay, like early in the game footage, and I was listening to Arlo's review the other day, and it's just kind of it sounds very cool. It sounds very fun. I saw on the Steam page it boasts like secrets that will not be uncovered for years to come. Which
That's what the guy says, yeah.
Which is such a cool thing to just say about your game. So I'm excited for that. I hope that that's the case, and I would love to see like an article 10 years from now. It's like we just found this like hidden item in Animal Well that no one's found yet. It kind of harkens back to like an old NES style.
A little bit, yeah.
Game of like,
and there are some elements of that where, for example, in Zelda 1, there were a lot of things that really stretched the playtime because they were like, you wouldn't be able to figure out what to do like without a guide or without someone telling you what to do.
Yeah.
This has a little bit of that vibe. There have been a couple of times already where I've been like, I have no idea what I'm supposed to do here. So I'm just going to mark it on my map and come back to it later, I guess. So
that's awesome.
I really want some of the I know to play it so I can talk about it because there have been a couple of things where I'm like, I've got to tell someone and I want to like talk about the crazy things that I've seen.
Well, maybe I'll pick it up next month and play through it as well. Elena says literally every 30 seconds we go secret like Billy does in streams. I love that.
There's lots of secrets. There's like chests and stuff. Lots of chests. Lots of little nooks and crannies.
That's awesome. We also got Crow Country, which I looked at the other day. It's basically like a PlayStation 1 survival horror. Very reminiscent of like PlayStation 1 Resident Evil. I don't know anything else about the game beyond that, but it looks really kind of stylized and fun.
That's about all I know too.
It's got like the Lego people look of like Final Fantasy 7.
Okay.
OG Final Fantasy 7. But yeah, it's got like the fixed camera angles like Resident Evil, and it looks like not quite tank controls.
Yeah.
I couldn't quite get the vibe from the trailer I watched, but it looks cool. It's not my cup of tea, but it looked neat. We also got Little Kitty Big City.
That looks so cute.
It looks super cute. It's on Game Pass, so I'm probably gonna boot that up at some point.
I wish we were on PS Plus, but it's not.
Yeah.
Animal Well is though, so it's on PS Plus Extra, which is like the second tier.
That's awesome. But yeah, Little Kitty Big City came out, and it just looks kind of cute. It looks like kind of reminds me of like Untitled Goose Game, but it's like a 3D
Very
cat
much so.
adventure. Because I saw there's like a lot of shenanigans you can kind of get into. Just looks like cute fun. Like I don't have much else to say about it, and that's fine. And then another Crab's Treasure that wasn't this week, but that came out not that long ago.
I think it was last week or maybe 2 weeks ago, but it was very recent.
Yeah. But it looks awesome. So lots of
Makes I didn't
great
Makes I didn't pick it up for the Fantasy League.
Yeah.
I think someone beat me to it. I forget who it was, but I meant to. I just kept putting it off.
Yeah. Oh, Hades 2 entered early access.
Oh yeah, that's a big one.
It's like a huge one. So like,
I have never wanted a PC more. I want Hades 2 so bad.
Yeah, I have not gotten to pick it up yet, but I need to. I need that game.
I played Hades 1 so much. I don't think I've played a game like that obsessively since Breath of the Wild came out. Maybe Hollow Knight. Because I played Hollow Knight and Hades like almost back to back.
Yeah,
That was a good time.
great games.
Hmm.
So yeah, indies are killing it right now, and that's
It's
very
true.
exciting.
Because some other corporations are not killing it right now.
And
Well, they are killing it, and that's the problem.
yeah, yeah. I hope you guys are buckled in. You thought we talked about the Switch 2 for a while? Buckle in.
The show's only supposed to be an hour long, Billy, just so you know.
It is not. It is not going to be only an hour.
Okay.
That's fine. Sterling can fight me. Yeah. So Microsoft has totally killed all goodwill they have had this week, and they did
Do you
have
have a
some.
blue sound effect?
I don't. I wish.
Oh man.
Um, it's baffling. This whole thing
Crazy.
is baffling and stupid. For those that haven't seen or have only seen some of what's going on, Microsoft has, and Bethesda, by extension Bethesda, have cut 4 of their studios.
Hmm.
Some of them are like relocations where they're like a team is absorbing into a different team, which is still frustrating. But Arcane Austin and Tango Gameworks were closed. Those
Those
are
are like the big
ones-
two that people keep talking about.
Yeah, the other 2 were like the one was like the ESO team, that's just kind of funneling now under one of Bethesda's other teams, so they're still making Elder Scrolls Online. From what it sounds like, it's just kind of like a relabel.
That game still exists?
Yeah, it does, and I think it just got DLC recently or a new expansion.
That's
pack.
crazy.
Yeah, it's like a decent game now. I
Okay.
guess. But yeah, Arcane's Austin is the dev studio that was responsible for Redfall. But more positively, they were responsible for Prey, which people adored those games. And there
Mhm.
was one other game that they did that people liked. I need to look it up real quick. And then we had they did Dishonored. And
Oh, okay.
Deathloop.
That's a popular one too. I've never played any of those games, but I know that people like them.
Dishonored was fun. I have the first one and I started it and it was really fun. Deathloop was like okay. They were
I forgot they did Deathloop. Deathloop was like good.
really. I didn't play it.
I tried it very briefly because it was on PS Plus. It wasn't quite my thing. I don't like shooter games very much, but like the mechanic was cool.
This was Arcane Austin was supposed to develop Blade.
Oh my goodness! I didn't realize that was them.
I didn't either.
Uh-oh.
I only know it because I went to Arcane's website to see what else they had made. So
uh-oh.
I was thinking about the games that they had made. Dishonored, Arx Fatalis, and Prey are kind of their mainstays, and then Deathloop and Redfall and Blade was in development. So they closed. And we'll get into that a little bit more. But then Tango is the studio responsible for Hi-Fi Rush.
Yes,
Like
I'm sad.
Bethesda's best game in God knows how long.
Yep. And it just came to PlayStation like a month ago.
Yeah. And it's just I don't get it. I don't.
My favorite thing is there was an interview that was given a couple of days ago of like an exec at Microsoft talking about the closing of the studios.
Mhm.
And one of the things that they said was they want to, try and make smaller games that are still like worthy of awards and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Which is like the definition of Hi-Fi Rush. It
Yes.
won tons of awards for its art design and its sound design, and like I think it was a $30 game when it came out. So like
Yeah.
I would say a fairly small game.
Yeah.
But like, how can you at the same time close the studio that made that game while also saying that you want to support studios that make games exactly like the game that you just described?
Yes.
I don't understand.
I don't either. It's in that same interview too. there was a clip taken out of it, and it was
Oh
like
gosh.
talking about like the sustainability of Xbox and whatever, and
Mhm.
like, and it showed like this graph,
The
like-
graph. That cut was so good.
and it's like you could see like the numbers like below the bar for like many
Mhm.
years, and then out of nowhere it shoots way up, and then it
Mhm.
stops slowly. It's like a very minimal drop, and they're like, yeah, we just
It's-
can't afford to hang on to all these studios. Blah blah blah.
It's
blah,
more
blah.
like a plateau than a drop. It's like
yeah.
it's nothing.
Yes. And it's just like, what are we doing here? You get a studio that releases Starfield
Mhm.
in its state and nobody cares. Like the most press Starfield got was this game is okay at best and pretty mediocre at worst. Like it's a functional game, but it doesn't do anything. And then you get a game like Hi-Fi Rush that everybody is talking about, everybody's raving about. It wins multiple awards. It had, nominations at the Game Awards. It won the BAFTA, some BAFTA awards, and you go, sorry, it's not enough.
It's so weird.
It's just beyond frustrating. It's like they learned the complete wrong lesson from
Mhm.
their games. I mean, they pulled the entire Elder Scrolls 6 team to finish Starfield. We know that Elder Scrolls 6 hasn't even really been started. Like we know that it's gotten to like concept phase. So they announced that game, what, 4 years ago now?
Something like
with
that.
a title
it was
screen,
multiple years ago.
and they
Yeah.
haven't even started.
Right. It was the title screen and like a shot of like a cool fantasy mountain area, and that's it.
That was that year at the Game Awards where that's all we got were like splash screen
Mhm.
and cinematic trailers. But like they haven't even started. They pulled that entire team to do Starfield, and it releases to nothing. Nobody got Game Pass for Starfield,
Right.
and their lesson was, okay, we need to keep making these high budget, multi-$100 million games. Spend all of this time and money and resources into these games that are going to give us subpar results, rather than letting a team make a game that they love, that released to critical acclaim, and gave Xbox a huge bump in goodwill in the gaming space, and then tore it all away for no reason.
Well, that's not true. The reason is because of the whole Bethesda acquisition from Microsoft. So, like, they're $7.6 billion in the hole, and they have to make it up. And so it's like Microsoft is now way more involved in Xbox than they used to be because they spent all this money, and now Big Daddy Microsoft is like, okay, so now how are we going to make up that money? And so
Well, here's the thing.
they're
It's
stupid.
not going to be Elder Scrolls. It's not going to be Fallout. I mean, it's not going to
Well, no,
be
they're-
Hi-Fi Rush either, but Hi-Fi Rush is at least going to turn a profit by the end of it. I mean, I'm sure Starfield cost them so much money. Looking at Redfall, that studio doesn't make that type of game.
No, it
They
doesn't.
didn't want to. I've heard a lot of people talking about that dev process for Redfall, and they're like, they didn't want to make that game, but Microsoft told them they need to make some survival horror live service game, and it failed because they didn't want to make that game, and Microsoft made them, and their punishment is they're the studio that gets axed
Right.
for Xbox's
mean-
bad leadership.
They're not going to make this money back in like a game. I just looked it up. So again, the acquisition of Bethesda was like over $7 billion. I think it was like 7.6, if I recall. To date, GTA 5, the best-selling game ever, has made $8.5 billion over the span of like 3 console generations and being released on every platform known to man.
Yeah.
So like, there's just not enough money in video games right now to make that money back.
Right.
Like, I don't know what Microsoft is going to do other than like shutter more studios in order to make buying Bethesda profitable.
Yeah, but like I don't get it because
They
again
shouldn't have done it.
no, they shouldn't have done it, and they just bought Blizzard Activision to try to do the
Yep.
same thing, and we've already seen what they've done to majority of those studios that they own.
Yep.
Like in Toys for Bob, we saw an article recently that they've been allowed to basically take themselves and go indie
Thank God.
after. But it just makes me so mad.
It's not fair because they also try to play the good guy. They tried to be like, oh well, we're going to buy these studios and we're going to give them some money, give them some support, and like help them do the things that they've wanted to do but haven't been able to afford to do themselves.
Yeah.
And instead, what they're doing is like, well, actually, we can't afford to support all of you, so we're gonna have to close some studios.
Yeah.
So now it looks like they've done this, and it's like, you know, how do I put this? The main reason against Microsoft buying all these studios is because it's like a monopoly, and it then would look like them buying up studios, and instead of competing with them, they're buying up their competition to get rid of them. And that's kind of what it looks like they're doing now.
Yeah.
And that doesn't look good.
No.
So if they don't want to be accused of that, they should be doing something else, in my opinion.
Yes, I agree. Well, and again, they keep shooting themselves in the foot with their public statements. Like they've been saying for years that they want to make like family-friendly games, that they want to make games for everybody. They want smaller titles that they can, let a studio make and just to make the game that they want to make. And they do that and they get punished for it. It sucks. Like again, Hi-Fi Rush and Tango is like the best example right now because it won multiple awards. And anybody who played that game just adored it. And there were talks of a sequel that again, yes, would take more budget, and it seems to be that's one of the reasons why they wanted to axe them before they got too far. But a sequel is going to be a still smaller than Elder Scrolls 6 or anything else that they're going to make. Skyrim version 7 million.
It's also done because they have been saying for a while now they want more presence in Japan.
Yeah.
And then close Tango, which is a Japanese studio.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't make sense.
Yep. It's like they keep saying what they want and then like choosing to. It's like their hints that that's what's going to be going next. It's so baffling and just terrible. There's the
Kind of makes you.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say we know Avowed is Obsidian's next game.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up too.
And it looks sick, from the little bit we've gotten to see, and I really like Obsidian. People say the best Fallout game is Fallout New Vegas, and that was Obsidian. We have Avowed coming, hopefully, and that's supposed to be like the Skyrim answer. What's going to happen when that game releases and if it does really, really well? What's the point for them? Are they going to get axed right after as well? Probably.
At this rate, who knows?
So it's just beyond frustrating to have to watch and continue to watch. They spent 2 years on this Blizzard Activision acquisition, multiple rounds of lawsuits to get Call of Duty.
Right.
And for what?
From what I've heard too, they are now unsure of what they want to do with Call of Duty as far as like putting it on Game Pass or not. Because on the one hand, if you put it on Game Pass, you're going to hope that enough people get Game Pass in order to buy Call of Duty.
Yeah.
But then on the other hand, you're then losing out on a bunch of guaranteed sales.
Yeah.
Because if you don't put it on Game Pass, then those that already have Game Pass are then also going to buy Call of Duty. But then it's like, if you don't put it on Game Pass, it's like that goes against what you've been saying the point of Game Pass is for years.
Right.
So they're in a pickle now.
Mm-hmm.
Shouldn't they have figured that out before they bought Activision Blizzard?
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Well, it's funny. We talked about this recently, and I was thinking about it, throughout this week. It's the same thing they did with Mixer.
Oh yeah, Mixer.
For those that don't remember Mixer, it was basically like the Twitch rival. It was, it was YouTube streaming was just kind of starting, but it was kind of colloquially agreed that nobody liked YouTube streaming, at least at the time. And then there was Twitch, and then there was Mixer. And so Microsoft entered the streaming, and Facebook gaming, I guess, technically is in that too.
I suppose technically.
There's a good amount of people that use Facebook gaming, but it was those kind of platforms that were dominant in the conversation. Twitch was still the top, but we had these others starting to kind of do stuff. And Microsoft didn't want to grow a community. They wanted an immediate payoff to get people onto Mixer. And so they bought a bunch of streamers to be exclusive to Mixer. So they bought Ninja. They bought Shroud. I think they bought Dr. Disrespect at one point.
That sounds correct. I know for sure Ninja, because that was the big one.
So they pay a bunch of money, like a huge lump sum, plus the fee, whatever, that they are owed for streaming on their platform. And it killed Mixer within like a year of them doing that. And they didn't tell any of the small streamers that they were shutting down. They didn't tell some of the employees that they were shutting down. But I'm pretty sure a lot of the big streamers knew because they already had contracts back in place to go back to Twitch.
Yep. And it's frustrating because it's like, I would prefer there to be some competition. Like, Twitch does not need to be the only option that people have for a good streaming platform. YouTube is getting there.
Yeah.
I'm not going to talk about Kick because they're the worst. But, like, it's annoying that I was, kind of rooting for Microsoft in that case, you know?
Well,
I don't want to be rooting for Microsoft, but if it's going to be against Amazon, I suppose,
Yeah. And to bring it all back, acquisitions are universally bad. They're just bad.
Yes.
We know that when a company gets acquired that there are going to be shutdowns, there are going to be layoffs, there's going to be all kinds of nonsense. But the only hope people had with the Blizzard Activision one was that it would get Kotick out of there. And he got to go home with a nice fancy severance package. And
that would pay for development of games for multiple years.
Yes. Yes. And the fact that that's the only positive we could all think of. And we're watching all of these studios get shut down due to CEOs and shareholders wanting results right now instead of building and fostering a community of gamers. They just want that immediacy, and it's not working.
Right.
And it sucks because they easily could. I mean, they still have Fallout, and the success of the Fallout show is going to help if they can get a new title out, but it just sounds like they're getting a next-gen update and a DLC, and maybe a DLC to Fallout 4.
Right, and it sounds like a lot of the Fallout games have hit a pretty big spike in popularity with the show. I know people are playing Fallout 4, especially more than they have in quite a long time.
Yeah.
So that's cool, but also, I don't know. What are you going to do about it now?
Yeah.
Now that the show is, hopefully going to continue.
Yeah.
Do you put out another Fallout game?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, who are they going to have develop it?
Right, exactly. Because if you're already, working on Starfield updates and now supposedly Elder Scrolls, then what? In 15 years, you're going to put out a Fallout game?
Yeah.
That's not capitalizing on the popularity of a show in 15 years.
No, it's going to be like Starfield. I mean, let's see. When was Starfield first announced? It was a long time.
I'm going to guess. What year is it now? 2024,
It
right?
came out in 2023. Yeah.
I'm going to guess it was announced in 2016.
Close. 2018.
Oh, I was gonna say 18. Dang it.
So it was announced in 2018 and delayed for 5 years. Oh, it started development after Fallout 4 in 2015. So it
Mhm.
started development in 2015. It was officially announced in 2018 and then delayed for 5 more years.
Well, what was the initial like release date that they gave?
That's a good question.
Did they give
Starfield
one?
First release date. What was done? Let's see. The only thing I can see is that Starfield is supposed to be released on November 11th, 2022.
Okay.
So like they knew, but also like, man,
To be fair though, if it was gonna come out in 2022, like, well, first of all, announcing it in 2018, I feel is probably too soon to announce a game, but
Right.
that's just my opinion.
yes.
But also, like, you know, COVID definitely impacted the development time on
Sure.
that. So,
Yeah. So
summer
like,
break in
yeah.
that case.
But then Starfield was initially scheduled for the first half of 2023 as Microsoft's Matt Booty indicated it would release after Arcane's Redfall. So they had like 2 flops back to back because they just don't
Mhm.
understand what their consumers want and what those dev studios want to make.
Right. In the Arcane's case specifically, like you had said, they don't usually make games like Redfall. They make
Single
like-
player,
single player action adventure puzzly type things, right?
yeah.
hmm
So, just very frustrating. I also saw, I think we talked about this in a text conversation that it was that Kind of Funny did some interview with Todd Howard.
Yeah, we did talk about that a little bit. I watched the first, I don't know, 2/3 of it or so. It was kind of a nothing interview, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Not on Kind of Funny's part. Greg Miller did the interview, and he's great. He has a degree in journalism, so he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
Todd gave nothing corporate jargon answers, as per usual.
I just saw a tweet from a quote of him that was like, "Yeah, we think Starfield failed because it was so different from what our consumers expect of us."
I remember laughing out loud. I was like setting up alone in my classroom listening to it, and that came out, and I was like, "What?
He was like,
It's not different. That's not the issue."
"You all called this Skyrim in space," like, and that's exactly what it was. Except it had none of the charm that Skyrim did when it launched.
Right.
So I don't know. It's a frustrating time
Mhm.
between Sony's recent nonsense with Helldivers
Oh.
and
We didn't put that in the notes for today, but we could talk about that a little bit too.
yeah, a lot of the
Sony's been
yeah
Sony's been doing annoying things too. It's like they're having a race with Microsoft
yeah
to see who can be the worst video game company this week.
yeah. I saw recently. So the Helldivers stuff is a recap for those tuning in. The
Mhm.
Helldivers stuff was that so people bought Helldivers. It didn't require a PlayStation account to play. And then later Sony said, no, we have to enforce this. So a bunch of the countries that can't make PSN accounts are bought a game that they got to play and then didn't get to play anymore.
Yeah.
Because Sony demanded that a PlayStation account was required.
Now they're doing the same thing with Ghost of Tsushima with
Yes.
the PC version of that game too.
Yes.
They're issuing refunds to countries that do not have access to PSN that already bought Ghost of Tsushima
Yep.
for PC on
Um,
Steam.
And to point out, there's a lot of people that are like, oh, just play it on a VPN. And that's a bannable offense from what I have seen. So if they detect that you are on a VPN, you can get banned in certain... I don't know how they do it, but that's what I have seen. It's a violation of the terms of service and countries' laws and stuff. So, yeah, it's a whole mess. And so, yeah, Ghost of Tsushima is what I saw recently. And the thing is to note is that Steam is the one that eats most of those refunds. That's why you get Steam credit. So Steam is the one kind of taking a financial fall for
Right.
For Sony, and they're not going to keep doing it.
No. Why would Steam want to work with Sony after all this? Because it's like, if Sony is signaling that they're trying to put more of their games out on PC after the fact, like there's been rumors of a God of War Ragnarok announcement for PC fairly soon as well.
Yeah.
It's like, if you continue to do this and not let countries that have Steam access but not PSN access not play your games, and then also pull the rug out from under them when they do play a very successful multiplayer game.
Yeah.
Like, it's so silly.
Yeah.
It's so silly.
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
For what, to make them have a PSN account? Like, what does that do other than make sure that your credit card is on file with them? Like, what does it actually do?
I have no idea. The reason that I saw for Helldivers was it was like a verification tool.
Like for anti-cheating stuff?
Something like that.
Okay.
I don't know enough about it to give the specifics. But that's kind of what I saw. The community manager that got fired.
Oh yeah.
Over the Helldivers stuff made some comment about that requiring PSN makes the servers themselves safer or more secure or something. So I think that's what that was for. Was it was supposed to be like a verification tool of some sort.
I mean, that does make sense, but then, like, why? I guess I don't understand why you wouldn't just open up PSN access to more regions if that's the case.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal is.
There's got to be a reason, I would think, but like,
yeah, I'm assuming it's some laws with the different countries. But I saw like Ghost of Tsushima, like Japan's one of the countries listed. I thought
as not being able to,
like, they're not
like,
available in that region. Hold on.
That's so funny.
I thought I also read that it's just because of they have their own version. So like PlayStation Network required for online multiplayer Legends mode and PlayStation Overlay. I'm on the Steam page. I was gonna look. Link your account to gain access to the following early unlocks. PlayStation Network terms of service.
So then, is it only for the online multiplayer stuff? Because the multiplayer mode in Ghost of Tsushima is called Legends. Otherwise, it's a single player game.
I don't know. It's what it says. It says PlayStation Network account for online multiplayer and PlayStation Overlay.
Okay.
So it might
Then
not
that's
be the
not quite
whole
as bad.
thing, but it's still like. But here's the thing. That might not be the case. It might say that. Because people took screenshots of the Helldivers terms of service and they sneakily changed it once they were enforcing the PlayStation Network. So, like, people have verified proof that they did that. So who's to say? But yeah,
Who's to say?
it sends a very bad message to your consumers.
Right, that you're going to say one thing and then do something else. Like,
Yep.
it doesn't feel good.
Yep. Especially when money's involved.
Mhm.
So I would not have believed that Nintendo would be the most positive corporation this week for an announcement of an announcement. So I don't know. It's a weird space for the gaming scene between Xbox and Microsoft just being awful.
It's really hard as personally to be an anti-capitalist gamer. That makes life very hard.
Yeah. But I mean, it's nice that we have some indies that are doing very well. Indie games are always good to see. They push the boundaries more than a lot of the AAA stuff anyway.
I'd say so.
And you support more people by buying those games. So go check out, go find an indie game to play.
Yeah, Animal Will is great.
Yeah.
Go get it.
So
Made by one dude. It's crazy. One
yeah.
guy made that whole game.
Billy Bossa is his name.
That's his name. Thank you.
Yep.
I knew that there was a reason you would know that name. It's because it's your name.
Yeah, that, and also I wanted to make sure that I didn't call it the Donkey Game.
Right.
Because it is his publishing studio.
Which honestly is still quite cool. Like, I made fun of Donkey quite a bit when he first announced
Big Mode.
Big Mode. I was like, a YouTuber publishing games, like, what's that gonna do? But it seems he either got really lucky with his first game or he knows how to pick them. So
Yeah.
we'll have to see going forward. But this first one was a good one.
Yeah. There's a couple big YouTubers that have been talking about putting together their own publishing company.
It'd be cool.
I know the Completionist, before his stuff kind of went down,
Mhm.
was in major talks for a while of having TOVG being a publishing company.
I would imagine no longer.
Probably not. But I mean, that's what Yacht Club is. They're
Mhm.
their publishing company does great work. So, but I think that's the news for this week. Mostly negative, but we had some fun conversations about stuff going on.
Good to go that far over.
Didn't go
That's
that
okay.
far over. Sterling will only need to fight me a little bit.
Like one punch each.
One punch each. There we go. He's gonna have to
Yeah.
travel a ways to get that done, but that's his job, not ours.
I'm safe. I'm too far away.
But thank you guys for tuning in to the weekly news show. If you enjoyed this discussion, I'm sure we have VODs online of the other episodes here. Of course, if you liked hearing specifically from Matt and I, we do have a podcast called Games Parlay where we do. We haven't done an episode in a while, but we do have a bunch of old episodes on old announcements and topics for Games Parlay. Make sure that you hit the follow, subscribe buttons, whatever is whatever platform you're watching this on. We have some really cool really cool projects in the works coming up. So I will leave it at that for now. So make sure that you follow us on our stuff so that you can be caught up with what we're doing.
Gonna be a good summer.
Yes, it will. I'm very excited. So
Mhm.
thank you guys for tuning in. We'll catch you all next time.